Seekers. Algorithm for God is not. That is correct. No algorithm, creator of algorithm, is not experiencer, not the experience. Creator of experience, steady, blue pearl, witness, who is also dancer, not the vehicles, who dances through vehicles. Seekers dance the seeking. Dancer laughs. So, today's class, we're going to be discussing delegating upward. So many people delegate upward. Why? Because there's no willingness to take on the responsibility of solving problems. And I need to say this very clearly. Delegating up is not surrender. It is not surrendering. It is not thinking that you're doing a really good job by surrendering to your higher up. That is not what most people do. They have no clue what actual surrender is. Upward delegators are people who have never been taught to advocate for themselves or resolve problems, either because they had smothering caregivers or neglectful caregivers. So many people approaching spirituality are not learners. They don't want Shaktipat to change anything. So they want Shaktipat as long as it doesn't change anything. They don't want community because they don't want to do cooperation, communication. They don't want any kind of responsibility of any kind. They only want a recipe they can follow easily when they choose to. It's all on their terms. They expect that they will present the problem with no solutions and expect higher up to solve everything. These people actually believe they are the designators of what action and problems need to be solved. They're in charge. They're not surrendering. They're in charge. People do this to spiritual teachers, therapists, employers, school teachers, professors, caregivers, anyone who is above of any kind. At the same time, many people believe that if they are spiritual, they automatically clean their karma. Their garbage is cleaned. No, we have to take out our garbage. It has to consciously be removed, incinerated. And as we went through about spiritual practice before, you have to own, master, and transcend. You can't just say, I've got this problem and delegate it up in some bizarre way, or just bypass it, which just read or looked at the guy John Wellwood, who was a transpersonal psychologist, who coined the phrase spiritual bypassing. You want to say?
Mm-hmm. Well, he defines it, in his words, as a widespread tendency to use spiritual ideas and practices to sidestep or avoid facing unresolved emotional issues, psychological wounds, and unfinished developmental tasks, or trying to rise above the raw and messy side of our humanness before we have fully faced and made peace with it.
That's what a lot of people in here expected to get. And I know you did. But that's not my game. No. Because you cannot move forward without cleaning everything up. There are no magic wands. And we all have to walk the walk. So, to that, we've been through this, but I wanted to quickly go. Reality, abstract, difficult. Reality's difficult. And abstract is so manageable. We're all one. It's all sweet. It's all good. It's all baloney. That's the reality. What did I write? It's difficult for you. It is what it is. Functional, practical. Nobody wants that in spirituality, but that is. So we read these stories. Hui Ning, what was he doing in the monastery? Grinding rice. Wow, grinding rice. How do we make that abstract? How do you mythologically create this incredible, beautiful myth of rice grinder? Was it in his imagination he was grinding the rice? Yes. He wasn't really grinding rice. He was sitting, levitating above a lotus in the middle of a pond, imagining he was grinding rice. No, he was grinding rice. A lot of people have found enjoyment in raking the paths here. Are you actually raking the paths, or are you imagining you're raking the paths? And what happens when you actually rake the paths? The paths get raked. And you get raked. Now, if you were to sit, yeah?
I mean, not magically, though.
Not magically. No.
Practicing as we're raking.
Exactly. If you were sitting somewhere and imagining you were raking the paths, what would then happen?
It's just a weird kind of...
The paths would not get raked, and neither would you. You'd be just doing fancy. And that's what people want. That's what people imagine spirituality is. So they don't want functional practical. They want abstract. And the negative of functional practical, grunt, boxhead. So all you path rakers are just grunts. And you win. Just like Hui Ning won. But the abstractors sit there and they're visionaries. Doing nothing. So there's another. Functional as negative. Opposite. They, the upward delegators and those kind of people, they identify problems. They identify problems. Functional, the positive, because this time it's negative, they solve problems. Did the paths need to be raked? You solve problems. You grunts. Baba asked me to go get something. I solved it. I went and got something. I was a grunt. I would do that again. To be able to do that, how wonderful is that? Identifies problems, the negative, does nothing, solves nothing. Solve something, opposite, hands off. Negative of solve something. Take on risk. Be accountable. And the positive of hands off, which an upward delegator is totally about hands off. Free from blame. Free from blame. So there's a self-interested passivity. These people delegate upward and expect the higher-ups to solve their problems and take out their garbage. When the higher-ups don't solve the problems, these people look to criticize and bring the spiritual teachers and others down to their level so that they can excuse their own behavior and stay the same. If the teacher, and whoever else, is an expert, the expert will assess the criticism and adjust. But if the teacher or whomever is an autocrat, they will just say, do as I say, not as I do. And if we learn from these people, then we believe we can do the same. These upward delegators project and decide that if anybody tells them anything, they're an autocrat. And if they don't take a magic wand and fix everything for them, they're not real. They're not doing their job. They're fake.
It deprives me. The upper delegators have no agency, no responsibility. And I remember as a kid you teaching us that the report card is your report card. It doesn't ever have a note to say you got a B or a C because so-and-so is a bad teacher. You couldn't outsource the responsibility for failing to somebody else. This was,
Yep. Yep. Totally. Totally. And it doesn't say you didn't got the C because you didn't like the teacher. Nobody cared. I brought you up with nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. And so you are now an expert. Upward delegators never get to be experts because they don't allow for criticism. It's too hurtful. It's too painful. Well, I am going to ask Joey, to read some of the criticism that David and I gave to him when he was applying for his PhD. Pick your favorites. And
my favorite.
and these were in track changes. He would send a sample or something, and we would just criticize. And if you can't take criticism, you go nowhere. Nowhere. Go for it.
We think you should make this sentence longer, more abstract, more thoroughly stuffed with academic buzzwords even most academics are tired of at this point. Whatever you do, you must use the word imbrication. We would leave a longer comment here, but we're nearly dead from thirst after traversing the length of this paragraph. Good to see you'll condescend to work with them. Honestly, this...
Does everyone understand what that was? Read that phrase again.
Good to see you'll condescend to work with them.
Very important one.
That's like me, like saying these are professors that I would like to work with, right? But being like,
I'd be willing to work with you.
Yeah. Honestly, this has a few interesting ideas buried in it, but mostly it chronicles your discovery of apophatic theology, especially as practiced in poetry. David wrote a bit on this topic in his article and chapter on Eliot. He had sense enough not to write as though he had pioneered the principle of apophasis or to frame his ideas in such pedantic, pretentious, garden-variety English major prose. Consider taking up the vernacular. This is not an obituary. Don't make it sound like you're not George Eliot. It's 2017. This is still good. Yeah. In a larger sense, your tone here is a bit immodest. You're a neophyte, not a gift to Notre Dame. That's pretty good.
Yeah. And there's more.
There's more.
There's
They
more.
actually, as he gets it, they get less,
Right.
Yeah.
you know.
That's right. Right. So if you're doing things well and clear and clean, do I then keep at this? No. But
There's a lot of well done later on.
yes.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, we actually have in December of 2017, well done. These are clear and clean and free of pedantry. Send them off when you're ready. They're very strong, well done. But what does that mean? If you want me to remain the autocrat, are you going to ever change? No. Are you going to remain the person that has to be criticized again and again and again because you're a non-learner? Bless you.
I'll just note too that those comments start from June 2017 all the way to December 2017, so a good 6 months of over and over and refining and getting my head chopped off, but then,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Nowhere near on the academic level, but during Devil Dogs, you spit it right out into the trash.
Yeah.
And you were like, what did you do?
And if you cannot take criticism, you can't ever grow.
I'll just point out that, the car situation, I have to say, is an amazing example of that, because that could have been a 10-year debacle. But,
Yeah. How long did you have that car?
3
Yeah, since
years?
August 2016. I've been counting.
You could have had that forever. Yeah, you poofed it. And nobody got hurt. It's very cool.
It is really cool.
Yeah.
So you could have a humble heart when you stay committed to being humiliated.
Yes. Correct. Correct. When we see everything is personal, we miss out on God's great Leela, God's play. And we are wrong to see humanity as individual. And again, it doesn't matter. So if I'm spiritual, I can't discuss car. So, or devil dogs, or PhD applications. We can only talk and speak in abstracts. Or blueberry muffins. Oh, blueberry muffins. Or buying a house. And those are all Leelas. Baba taught me through what I wore, what he had me do, how I spoke, who I was to speak with. Everything. Every action. Every action. But immature, upward delegators who know nothing about anything decide what is real and what isn't. What is to be addressed and what isn't. So, all communication is not about you. Do not confuse humanity with yourself. Being human is not being you, in quotes. So here's the dichotomy. All about me. Opposite. Just one of the crowd. And by the way, all about me for an upward delegator is a very big positive. The negative of all about me is responsible, liable. and the positive of just one of the crowd, not my problem. Not my problem. Not my problem. So what we're doing is we're getting to see how people approach spirituality. And approaching spirituality should be no different than how you approach the world. No different. No different. Was the peony an imaginary peony in the Musashi story? No, it was an actual peony. It's real. It's part of the world. Or did it happen on a cloud way past the world's atmosphere? No. No. Inappropriate participation. Opposite coordinates checks in. How many people actually want to do that?
It was what in checks in?
Coordinates. Coordinates. Wow, what a concept. And when they do inappropriate participation, they think they're being proactive because they have no discernment. They know better than everybody else. So I'm going to put out a shout out to Neil Cavuto. I posted his thing. You're entitled to your opinion. You're not entitled to your facts. He was excellent. And that goes for everybody. The negative of coordinates and checks in, nothing gets done. Now the next two are really important. They're new. Condoning own behavior. Opposite.
Confessing,
Calling yourself out.
Yeah, correcting.
correcting.
What's the positive of condoning own behavior?
I almost think like high self-esteem.
Patient with self. So that then you start looking at people who criticize you, and then you go and complain to some other higher up or caregiver or somebody that you were criticized, and they look at you, oh, you're perfect. You're perfect just the way you are. They should never have said those things. Yeah, they should have. Yeah, they should have.
Don't be so hard on yourself.
Exactly. Oh. And then the negative of correcting own behavior,
To your own self.
judgmental of self. Judgmental. Too hard.
Element of like tormenting yourself.
Yeah, it is tormenting yourself. And by the way, tormenting yourself is not spiritual. Which goes to the next one. Bless you. Reflective. And this goes back to so many people. Opposite of reflective. No, because what is reflective? Define reflective. Looking in.
Looking into what?
To what? Yeah, looking into what?
Motivations, behavior.
Would an opposite be projection?
Yes. Always looking outside at the world, at others, projecting blame. Oh, I just did a direct hit. Bam. The negative of reflective. And this is where people confuse and think, what? I'm doing, I'm looking, Spinning? No. Because spinning still has more of a mental, and it is spinning of a sort, but you're turning back in your narrative. You're whining about yourself, self-complaining, self-flagellating, and you think you're actually reflecting, and not at all. And this goes to not everything is about you. And this goes to, in spirituality, to get anywhere, you have to get over yourself. Have to get over yourself. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. So what's the positive of always looking outside at the world, at others, projecting blame?
Engaged in the world.
No, because you're not engaging. It's looking out. Responsive to the outside world. Responsive. I'm not blaming. How many times have you seen situations in the media where you get a young person who is, or in Congress, a first time, they haven't reflected, they're not sitting and learning the job, they're just projecting blame outward. And they think they're being responsive to the way the world should be. They're just upward delegating. So my thing is, fix it. If you're so sure these are the problems that need to be dealt with, fix them. Go ahead. But they're not interested in fixing them. They don't need to fix them. They think their only job is to communicate the problem. And it's their idea of a problem. It's what they believe is a problem. And then there's the expectation. So are they then, in all situations, the superior delegating the workforce? So it doesn't matter whether you're a caregiver, a teacher, an employer, a spiritual teacher, you're the workforce. Your responsibility is to solve my problems. No. Nope. So the way they see it, they are being asked to give up their humanity in order to do their job. Because what do they see as humanity? Themselves. Totally just themselves. And when you see an email with I as the beginning of every single sentence, or a response to a situation that had nothing to do with them and comes back with I's, or having to make it a situation that had nothing to do with them, but have to make it be about them. Even when some of you in here will see that somebody else is off the rails, well, I've been there. Nobody's talking about you. This isn't about you. So you don't do anything. You don't help the other person. You don't care about the other person. It's all about you.
It's fascinating that because instead of so often people go, well, I've been there, so I'm in no position to speak. Instead of going, well, I've been there and no one told me that I was screwed up. So let me do the courtesy of actually saying, hey, I've been there. I know what it's like, and you need to sort yourself out.
Exactly. Exactly. But that's critical. That's critical. That's mean and critical, and you're bad. I'm okay with being bad. I'm okay with being bad.
And what that means is that when people don't do that, it means that if they're screwed up somehow, they don't actually want to hear it.
Exactly.
And then the flip side is that you could speak up, but then be like, oh, it's okay, and just cuddle.
Yeah, and cuddle.
I've been there too.
I've been there too, which is part of the thing. And then you just all make it a whitewash game. No. Doesn't work. Facts are facts. And if you can't handle facts in the world, you definitely will not be able to handle facts down the path spiritually. You will not be able to handle the facts. So one of the things that these kind of people do is their goal is to distract everyone away from what they need to be doing and get everyone, focused on the individual. It's all about me. So it's get attention by doing drama, not by doing something right. No. As the sign was there for Ian and Aaron growing up, get attention by doing things right, not by drama. So if you had kept doing the same thing, we would have eventually just said, whatever. But you kept on changing and working with it and growing with it.
I got to the point where I was able to even recognize in my own writing process, oh, this isn't even worth sending. I need to work with this one.
Yes. So important. That's the reflectiveness. That's what needs to be. So, in regard to you with emails over a year, showing you the way an email needed to look like, and then not coming back and here's a sample, does this work? I'm putting it in my own words. Does this work now? No, never. So we ended up doing your emails forever. You didn't learn. You didn't do your job. And we needed to get the work done, so we ended up doing it. You lost because you didn't want to learn.
Well, it goes perfectly to what we were talking about last class too, last Saturday, about wasting time.
Yeah.
What Joe was doing was not a waste of your time.
Not of a waste of our time. Exactly.
He was working. He wanted what you had to give.
That's right. And he was showing, he was coming back, showing, he was bringing to the table something. He wasn't coming empty-handed.
Ari kept coming back with another tray of devil dogs.
Yeah.
It was rough on all of us.
It was, yeah.
We've all been through it.
We've all been
And what Aaron had said about emptying, a real learner has to be able to empty themselves, or has to want to empty themselves.
That's right. That's what the surrender is. That's what the real surrender is. Yeah. Not up with delegating, as that is not surrendering at all. That's just an ego on a trip, running the show.
And swallowing things that you necessarily don't want to.
Mm-hmm. Is really learning. Work, life is not personal. Have you not gotten it? It really isn't personal. And so there are two extremes of personal, and they're both the same. People who are unfeeling, uncaring, rigid robots believe they are above it all and yet are really focused on themselves in a dissociative way. And people who are emotionally crazy and devoted to personal drama so that everything is all about them. So when you're having an issue, they're completely could care less. When they're having an issue, it's emotional crazy. So that both cases, it's all about them. It's all about me. And both are unfeeling. Yep. So, celebrates the individual. Opposite.
Celebrating humanity.
No, we're still doing rejects the individual. The negative of celebrates the individual.
Self-absorbed?
Absorbed with, idolizes. Obsessed. Obsessed. And the positive of rejects the individual. No ego. No ego. The problem is the one that celebrates and the one that rejects are both obsessed with the individual. The goal for both is only ego. And here we are. The celebrity is God. Humanity is self-absorption. They love having it all focused on them, having it all revolve around them.
In the most literal sense, we're in a situation where getting attention by drama trumps getting attention by doing things right, in that actors have more voice than experts.
Exactly. Actors,
Who literally spend their
influencers,
life doing drama.
drama. Influencers, yeah, celebrities, for no reason, because they have 1 million or 16 million subscribers on YouTube, are experts. They're God. They designate and move the world. And here we are. Not the way I'm going to be doing this. Life is messy, difficult, uncomfortable, and risky. We will make mistakes. If we are unwilling to make a mistake, we will never get on the playing field and never be human. We won't risk being a human being. And all interaction is to learn about humanity. What is the point otherwise? So if you just do your work and live appropriately, then it has humanity because of whom you serve. Not selfish, not you, but God. And that's in everything.
Sorry.
Yes.
Could you read that again? When you drop your voice, it goes completely.
Sorry.
Can't hear anything, so I couldn't hear what that was.
Was it so if you just work appropriately?
Yeah.
Then it has humanity because of whom you serve.
Okay.
Not selfish, not you, but God.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you.